Hey gang, Carl White here, and you are listening to Loan Officer Freedom, number one podcast in the world today for loan officers. And by the way, thank you for all the great reviews. I really sincerely appreciate it. We're number one by far because of your awesome reviews, and it really helps get the word out. So, hey, I'm going to give to you today a 41 page, I think it's 40, maybe it's 41, 42, 43, something like that, page summary of this topic that I'm going to cover today, which is called the 5 day production plan, the 5 day production program, the 5 day production plan. Hey, let me ask you a question. How many times have you like finished a really good class, or maybe you listened to a podcast, attended a conference, maybe read a good business book and thought, that was great. I am definitely going to do that. And then Monday comes, the phone starts ringing, the email starts coming in, a borrower needs something, a real estate agent has a question, somebody needs an updated pre-approval letter, and the great idea kind of like just disappears. And not because it was a bad idea, not because you weren't motivated or because you got lazy. It disappeared because you never turned the idea into a specific plan that told you exactly what to do next. Like you never put together a step by step, paint by the numbers of what needs to be done. And that's why I create. And by the way, anytime I create something is to fill a need that I have, right? And but that's exactly why I created this thing that I teach that's called the 5 day production plan. And the purpose of this plan was very, very, very simple. And what it is for 5 consecutive business days, you stop trying to do everything and you focus on one specific income producing or loan getting, or if you're a branch manager, recruiting producing activity. Not 12 activities, not a brand new marketing plan every morning, right? Even though that sounds fun and sexy. And what this is like what I call one lane, one list, one script, 1 hour for 5 days. Now, I know this might sound like too simple, but simplicity is exactly why it works. What I have found is like most loan officers don't have like an information problem. Most loan officers have an execution problem, right? They already know they should call their database. They already know they should talk to real estate agents. That real estate agents by far is a lion's share of closings for loan officers, no matter what you read or hear from somewhere else. If you simply go to like the real numbers, real estate agents past database is the lion's share, right? And loan officer, they already know they should be following up with leads. So the issue really isn't not knowing what to do. The issue is doing it consistently without changing the plan every time something feels uncomfortable. So here's the steps to it. Very simple. Step one, choose one lane. So the first part of the 5 day business plan or the 5 day production plan is choosing the lane that you're going to work like for the next 5 days. And it doesn't mean that we ignore the others, but this one gets done first. And I have found that there's three basic lanes. The first lane, lane number one, is your past clients or personal contacts, which would be those people in your like in your cell phone, your contacts, your database. So past clients forward slash sphere of influence, contacts in your cell phone, your database, right? So that's the first lane. And basically, these are just people, they already know you, they've already worked with you, or they have some reason to recognize your name. You go to the same church, your kids know each other, they got in your cell phone by some way, right? So that's lane number one. The second lane would be what I would call like referral partners. Now, again, for most loan officers, that's going to mean real estate agents, but it might be financial planners, insurance professionals, builders, attorneys, accountants, other people that just regularly encounter people who are looking to borrow money, right? Looking for consumers who are looking for mortgage advice. So lane number one is sphere of influence, past database, people in your cell phone. Lane number two, and again, you're just picking one of these, right? I'm just listing off the basic three, and you're going to pick one of these three. So lane two, referral partners. Lane three is leads that you already have and your pipeline, right? There's an old saying, don't go buy more cows until you milk the cows that you already have. And so the third lane leads in your current pipeline. And this might be old leads that were referred to you, pre-approved borrowers who never purchased or they fell off your radar. A lead, maybe you called a couple times, never spoke to them, or they were busy, or frankly, you don't remember what happened, right? Maybe people that started an application didn't finish it, or maybe it's previous prospects who told you they were 3 months or 6 months or 12 months away. So old leads, right? All three lanes, right? Your sphere of influence past database, your referral partners, and your old leads or your pipeline, your current pipeline leads. All three of these lanes can produce business and do produce business for us, right? They all do, right? We all know that. The mistake is trying to work all three at the same time if you haven't gotten yourself up to speed yet. That's the mistake. So, what I commonly see is a loan officer, they call two past clients, maybe sends a text to a real estate agent, then looks at Facebook and then follows up with an internet lead and then spends 20 minutes changing a Canva graphic, right? And at the end of the hour, they felt busy, but there was very little concentration of effort, right? And again, so for the 5 day plan, you pick one of those three lanes to focus on. You don't switch on day two because day one felt awkward. Well, Carl, I did it for one day and it felt awkward, so I'm going to go do something else. No, it doesn't work that way, right? That's what the struggle bunnies do, right? That's what the low producers do. That's what maybe you did in the past, not going forward though, right? You don't abandon the plan just because nobody immediately handed you a loan, right? You have got to stay in this one lane for 1 hour, 5 business days in a row. Step two. So step one was grab a lane. Step two, build the list before you begin. So once you picked your lane, the second step is building the exact list of people you're going to contact. And I don't mean a vague category like I'm going to call some agents or I'm going to call my database. No, you need names. You need names and phone numbers, right? This is where many people lose before they even begin. They block out an hour for prospecting, and then when that when that hour arrives, they still have to decide who am I going to call. They go, okay, I'm going to call referral partners. My hour's starting. Who am I going to call? Or they open up their CRM, or they start scrolling around. They search for an old spreadsheet. They notice a borrower email, then they answer the email, and 25 minutes later, no calls have been made yet, right? Your prospecting time should not begin with research. It should begin with dialing. That's where the money is. We all know this. Like everybody knows this, right? We just do all the other activity trying to avoid it, but we know what the top producers are. Right? All you got to do is ask them, what do you do? And they'll tell you, this is what I do. Oh, there's outliers. I get that. We're talking about betting on the 98%, right? So before day one, you need the list prepared. So when I say you're going to do this for 5 days, we don't spend one of those days putting together the list. No, we do that before, and then we start calling the list, right? So you should know exactly who the first person is, who the second person is, and who comes after that. And the list, by the way, should be large enough that you don't run out of people during that 5 days. Like if you're going to start this on a Monday, the Friday before, start getting ready. That's what we do is we put the list together on Fridays, and then we start on Mondays, right? And I'm going to tell you right now, you don't need a perfect database. You don't need every contact record cleaned up. God knows you can spend a lifetime doing that. You just need a usable list. Step three. So step one, get your lane. Step two, build the list before you begin. Step three, use one simple conversation starter. I think a big problem that a lot of loan officers make is they feel like they have to be super clever on the phone calls. You don't have to be clever. You just have to be consistent. So step three, use one simple conversation starter. And the third part is choosing what are you going to say to this one lane, to this one list that you have. What's the one conversation starter? Not 15 different things you're going to say. We're going to have one conversation starter. Yeah, I tell you, this is an area a lot of loan officers make things way too complicated. They believe they need to be like a brilliant script, or they keep rewriting the opening. Oh, what do I say first? That didn't work. Let me rewrite it. Right? Don't do that. Right? Or you try to anticipate every possible objection, and then they delay making the calls because they feel like they're not completely prepared. Right? So the goal of the opening, like this one opening sentence that you're going to get, is not to close a loan in the first 15 seconds. Give yourself a break, lower the bar a little bit, right? The goal is simply to begin a conversation. For example, with a past client, the conversation might begin with just checking in, how they doing. My favorite opening line is to say, "Hey, borrow past client A, or let's say past client Bob or past client Ann. Hey, I just want to call you and thank you for letting me help you out last time. Right? This is Carl at ABC Mortgage. I helped you with a loan last time. Thanks for letting me help you out. Hard to go wrong with a thank you, right? And then that's your opening line, and then you continue on with the call, finding about like has anything changed with their housing or their financial plans, or maybe with a real estate agent, the conversation might begin with a specific reason for reaching out, like a useful idea, an invitation, a question about their business, how they you looked up their production report and saw they closed X amount of loans. You're a student of success. Holy cow! I'd love to find out like what are you doing that's producing such great numbers for you. One thing that I found is top producers love to talk about how they became a top producer. I know I do, right? Ask me, gee, Carl, how do you make millions of dollars? I'll talk your ear off, right? Yeah, if you want to be interesting, be interested, right? Or maybe, let's see, maybe with an old lead, the conversation might simply be reconnecting, like, hey, did you buy a house or not? Oh, you didn't? How come? Why not? Find out what the issue was, solve that problem, right? You don't need to sound clever, right? You need to sound like, you just need to sound like a real person who has a legitimate reason to call and to say, hey, just looking to reconnect. How you guys doing? I helped you last time. I wanted to tell you thank you. I saw your numbers. Holy cow, awesome. Awesome numbers in this market for this time of year. I'd love to hear more about your story, right? Those are all legitimate reasons to call. So the exact script that we're going to use, or let's call it the exact opening line that we're going to use during this 5 day production plan is choose the script before the 5 days begin. Just like we chose the list first, like we chose the lane first, and then we've got the specific, here's the names and the phone numbers I'm calling, and here's the opening line I'm going to be using them. And again, this is going to be one lane, so it can be the same opening script, right? Like on your old leads, did you buy a house yet? Oh, you did? Awesome. Where'd you buy at? Hey, is it okay if I follow up on you to see if you need some help in the future? Did you buy a house yet? Oh no. How come? Why not? What's up? This is not a contest on cleverness. I'm telling you. It's just staying in one lane, one list, one opening conversation. And whatever you do, don't rewrite the script after every call. If a call doesn't go well, hell, just pick up the phone and do it again. Use it long enough, become comfortable with it. Hey there. Hey, if you're loving the tips so far, be sure to hit that subscribe button right down there and then tap the little bell so that you never miss out on more free, cool tips coming your way. Also, I would love to hear from you. Drop a comment beneath there. Let me know what you think or tell me what you'd like to hear next. Go, Carl. Gosh, people tell me, Carl, it seems so natural to you. It's only natural because I've done it over and over and over again. That's how I made millions and millions or tens of millions of dollars is by doing it over and over again, right? It pays well. Step four. Remember, Step one is choosing a lane. Step two, build the list before you begin. Step three, Use one simple conversation starter. Step four, this is the biggie, protect 1 hour. Protect 1 hour. Protect 1 hour, just 1 hour. The fourth step is just protecting 1 hour each day for 5 days. And by the way, that means putting the hour on your calendar, not squeezing it in when everything else is done. Because, hey, I got some breaking news. Everything else is never done, right? It's never done, right? There's always going to be another email. There's always going to be another status update. There's always another document request and another administrative task that you feel is urgent. But your production hour has to be treated like an appointment with your most important client, because it is. Your most important client is your prospecting. And during that hour, you're not designing marketing, you're not organizing your CRM, right? You're not watching training videos or checking social media. You're not going on Facebook and looking up the agent that you're getting ready to call. You're having conversations. That's the whole point. One focused hour can be more productive than an entire day of scattered activity. And one thing that I've seen is that hour is short enough that almost anybody can protect it. In fact, let me re-say that. The hour is short enough that everybody can protect it, right? Everybody, but it's long enough to create meaningful momentum when repeated for 5 straight days. Step five, measure activity, not emotion. Let me say that one again. Measure your activity, measure your actions. How many did I do? How many hellos did I get? Right? Don't measure emotion, right? You measure what you did. You do not measure how confident you felt, right? You do not measure whether everyone was excited to hear from you. You don't measure whether the first 10 calls immediately turned into applications. You just measure the activity. How many calls did you make? How many real conversations did you have? How many people did you ask for a next step? How many follow-up appointments did you schedule? How many referrals, introductions, applications, or opportunities came from those conversations? Right? I find that when you measure the activity, you can improve it. When you only measure your feelings, you're going to quit early. I know I always did. Right? Prospecting often feels unproductive before it becomes productive. Right? A conversation today may turn into an application next week, by the way. Right? That's how a lot of this happens. Like, look, my closings for my branch, which we do hundreds and hundreds a month, it's all the activity we did 90 days before, not 90 minutes before. Right? We all know this. A conversation might turn into an application next week or next month. Right? An agent who doesn't have anything for you today might introduce you to someone next month. Right? A past client who may not need a mortgage, but they know who somebody does 2 weeks from now, right? After you called. So the 5 day plan creates enough concentrated activity for those opportunities to begin appearing, but not if you quit after the first day because it didn't feel right. All right, I need to bring up one more thing here, what I call the escape hatch. The escape hatch. And every loan officer has what I call an escape hatch. Me too, right? And what an escape hatch is, it's the one thing we do when the income producing work becomes uncomfortable. And for some of you, it might be checking email. For another, clearing the CRM. For a lot, it's going to be, well, I'm going to go do social media. Yeah, that always works. And I'm going to call it marketing research, right? For someone else, it's changing the script or rebuilding the list or watching another training video, right? So the escape hatch makes you feel productive while helping you avoid the activity that actually creates the business, right? We call this creative avoidance. Create all kinds of ideas to avoid the actual activity that makes you all your money. So, as part of your 5 day production plan, you have to identify your escape hatch and then you create a rule that removes it. Maybe your email stays shut during the hour. In fact, let's take the word maybe out of that. Your email stays shut during the hour. Maybe your inbound phone is placed on do not disturb, or probably better, what we do in our branch is our AI answering service answers the incoming calls for us and actually, can take the preliminary information for an application, all while we're making phone calls to create even more applications. Or maybe, like in our branch, everybody gets an assistant, right? I think that's critical, right? Maybe your assistant or processor handles incoming calls or incoming questions during that time, or maybe you work from a conference room instead of sitting at your regular desk. Like whatever you got to do, make it happen. You look. One thing I found about the escape hatch is we don't have to have more discipline if we can just if we can just design the distraction out of the environment, right? Like if email is my distraction, eliminate it. Like turn it off. There's no saying if I'm an alcoholic, probably going to the bar is not a great idea, right? Stay out of the bar, so to speak, the email bar. All right, Carl, you go, Carl, why only 5 days? Right? You might be wondering why do we call it the 5 day plan? Why not 30? Why not 90? And I found that five feels doable, right? A loan officer might resist committing to a new routine, like say, hey, I want you to do this for the rest of the year. That'd be a great idea, by the way. But almost anybody that wants it bad enough can commit to 5 business days, right? And what I found is 5 days is long enough to establish a momentum, collect data, improve your conversations, and create real opportunities for more closings and referral sources. And it's also short enough to eliminate that excuse that you're not locking into something for the rest of your career kind of thing, right? So it's like, well, I don't know if I want to do this, commit to this for the next 90 days. You're not. It's 5 days. And then at the end of the 5 days, I'm going to challenge you, review your results. What worked? Who responded? Which conversations created momentum? Who needs to be followed up on? Should you repeat that same lane for yet another 5 days, or do you choose a different lane based on what you learned? So the 5 days are not the entire business plan. They're a production sprint. That's what this really is, a production sprint. And I find what this does is it helps you move from learning to doing, from learning to doing. So the most important rule is that you're not allowed to redesign the plan while you're doing the plan, right? One issue with loan officers, you guys tend to be kind of creative people. That can be a strength. It can also be a weakness. So on day one, like the classic example, on day one, they decide to call their past clients. And then day two, they hear about a new social media strategy. Day three, somebody tells them they should host an event. Day four, they start looking to buying leads. Day five, they started 4 different strategies and completed none of them, right? So for 5 days, for this 5 days, the plan's already decided. One lane, one list, one opening script, 1 hour. You execute first, then evaluate later. You execute first, you evaluate later. All right, so here's your challenge. Wrap this up. Pick one lane, prepare one list, choose your conversation starter, block 1 interrupted hour on your calendar for each of the next 5 business days. I'm going to strongly recommend it's the first hour of the day. And then simply track the number of calls, track the number of conversations, track the number of how many asks did you do, ASKS, asks, right? Track the number of asking for the business, asking for the appointment, asking for the referral, right? So you're going to track the number of calls, conversation, asks, appointments, and opportunities to create. Do not make the goal perfection, right? Make the goal completion. All right. So what I've given you today is the framework. And frankly, it's the idea behind this is to give you enough to get moving. But it's not the complete 5 day production plan that we teach our members. Like the full version includes detailed implementation, worksheets, daily structure, scripts, tracking tools, examples, and the specific process we use to help loan officers choose the right lane and complete the plan. And I put it all in a 41-page summary. And if you want to get a copy of this 41-page summary, I'll give it to you. And it's complete. Like it's not a teaser. It's not an infomercial. It's complete. You want your copy? Just go to mmademo.com, mmademo.com, and schedule a complimentary, right, a free virtual walkthrough of our member site, right? We'll walk you through it, kind of a virtual walkthrough on a Zoom. And we're going to show you exactly what our members have full access to, how they use the training and the tools, and how the site is designed to help loan officers create more consistent production and less hours working for the week, right? And when you schedule and complete that virtual walkthrough, they're going to give you the full 41 page, 5 day production plan summary. Just tell them at the beginning of the call, hey, I want to make sure that I'm getting my copy of the 41 page, 5 day production plan summary, and they'll give it to you. It's just that simple. That's how we roll around here. We'll call this just another random act of coolness. So, again, just go to mmademo.com. That's MMA, like mortgage marketing animals, demo. Schedule your virtual walkthrough. Take a look what we're doing for other loan officers. And again, we'll give you the complete 41 page summary of the 5 day production plan. So, all right. Until then, remember, you don't need another idea. You just need one good idea and execute it for 5 days straight, and we'll help you do that. So, mmademo.com. Thanks again, and I'll talk to you when you call in, and we'll see you on the next episode of Loan Officer Freedom. Thanks again, everybody. Bye bye.